Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Caroline Zacketts. For those of you who don't know me, I am the Associate Program Manager in DC. I've been with Compass for about 2.5 years now. And in that time, I've been able to familiarize myself with a lot of the different aspects of Podio. And so I'm going to do a short training today just to answer any general questions and provide an overview of the software. So as I mentioned to some of you previously, the setting right now is that you're all muted. It just makes it easier for everyone else to hear me if you are all on mute, but feel free to take yourselves off of mute if you have any questions that pop up throughout the training. So you all should be able to see my screen right now. And here we have what you see when you log into Podio. So you'll see here the activity stream, and this has all of the different things that are going on in the workspace that you belong to. So I have a lot in my newsfeed or in my activity stream because I am a part of all of the DC workspaces because I create them. Mary Chandler is a part of all of the Chicago and Philadelphia ones, so she has control of those ones. So this is just a good place to see what your team has been up to here. Now, for those of you who have been on more than one project, you may see up here in Choose a Workspace that you have more than one team that you're a part of. So here are all of the different DC ones here. I am going to go to this workspace, which is just a model of what your workspace looks like, just specifically for this training. And so once you're here in your workspace, there are a bunch of different things that you can do. The first thing that I want to do is talk about this home page right here. Again, you'll see notifications of what each of your team members have been up to here. It's also fairly easy to share things with your teammates. So for example, I can share a link here. So I could say, oh, check out this really cool organization, Compass Pro Bono. And I could share that link with my teammates. You can also share files here. And they'll prompt you to choose a file from your computer. You can also link Google Drive or Dropbox there. Now I'm going to go through all of the different tiles up here. So the first one we have is the Service Line Toolkit. So the Service Line Toolkit is our repository of information that we have from past project teams. So it includes engagement letters, old deliverables, financial tools, those sorts of things. So I'll just go through an example here. If you're doing a board development project, you can open this up and you'll see these different folders here. So these folders are numbered 1, 2, or 3, and that corresponds to the phase of the project in which you would use those folders. So right now you all are probably in your engagement letter and work plan stage. So you can open that up and it is linked through Google Docs. So you'll see a list here of all of our different sample engagement letters. So I like to look at it in this list view. But see, again, you'll see the work plan, engagement letters, and those are great examples to refer to. And again, you'll see some examples here, interviews and surveys, and there are a lot of examples. So I encourage you all to spend some time going through all of the different documents that we provide. So a couple of other things that I want to point out in the service line toolkit. The team password document. So this has all of the passwords to the resources that we provide to the teams. For example, GuideStar and SurveyMonkey are two of those. Now we are having some issues with our SurveyMonkey account currently, but if you are planning on using that, please reach out to either me or Mary Chandler, and we can direct you to how to get access to that resource. In the team resources file here, you'll see one folder specifically that I want to point out for the trainings. And this contains all of the trainings from the volunteer orientation and service line trainings that you attended. And they're labeled by city and by service line. So those are a great resource if you want to review any of the things that you went over in your trainings. Another thing here is the document index. Now this has basically an index of all of our files. So it'll provide a little explanation of what's in there, as well as what it's called, and that can be useful to try to start narrowing down what you need to look for in the service line toolkit. We also have here some templates if you want a template for your PowerPoint presentations, some more information on GuideStar, as well as all of our logo files here if you need to use our logo for anything. The issue area toolkit is very similar, except all of these files are organized by issue area rather than by service line. But if you open these up, they'll have the same sort of file organization. And some of them are more complete than others, just on the number of projects that we've done in each sort of issue area. But these can be helpful if you're working with an organization whose issue area you might not be as familiar with. Next, we have team files here. So most of these folders are dummy folders, except for the client supplemental materials. This materials folder contains the client materials that they sent us before beginning on your project. This can include A990, other sorts of marketing collateral, and other general information. So that's important to review. And those are linked through Dropbox. So with these files, I just want to show you quickly how you can use them to upload files here. So let's say in your work stream, you are in charge of doing some interviews. So what you can do is choose a file here, and you can link it either through your computer, Google Drive, or Dropbox. And if I wanted to upload a file that everyone could work on this at the same time, I could go through Google Drive and then go into my drive and then link a specific document through it. So an interview guide. And then once that is linked, I could open it up and start working on the file here. So this is a great way to upload files that you can work on collaboratively. Because unfortunately you cannot live update documents in Podio. And if you wanted to add a new group of folders or a new file here, you can add that, give it a title, and then you can choose a file to add to that. So that is the team files tab. And now let's go to the tasks tab. So in this, you can assign tasks to people in your workspace. So I can add a task. So maybe my task is sign volunteer consent form. And I can add a due date, say tomorrow. I can add who's responsible for it. And so when you select here, everyone who is in your workspace will show up down below. So I could assign it to Margaret. And then I can put in the status. So entered. I could also add a file to it if I wanted to. And I save the task. And it'll show up right here. So you can open this back up. You can complete it. And then it'll show as complete here. Under deliverables, we have put some dates, some important dates here of when certain things should be done. So for example, our first meeting with the client would have been at project launch in DC. That was on the 4th. So what I can do is say I did this, complete it, and then close it out. So this isn't mandatory, but we find it might be helpful for teams to keep track of where they're at and if they're on schedule. The meetings tab is very similar to the tasks tab. This is a great way to plan your team meetings. So you could say team meeting number 2, add the date, say it's next, oh, that's Thanksgiving. You could say the 29th, add or remove participants. So again, people in your work stream will pop up here and you can pick who you want it to be. You can add an agenda here. You can add minutes and notes here and location. You could say Compass Office. And you could also upload a file to accompany it. And then I can save that meeting and it will be saved here. Everyone in your workspace will also be able to see this and receive a notification about it. So they could say attending or not attending, or I might be attending. And it's a good way to keep track of people and where they are at.
Hey, Carolyn, this is Jay Abraham. I had a question on this calendar function. We've been trying to use it, but it seems like every time something gets updated, the time that shows up for different people seems to be different. So we had a meeting that was 6 to 8. For some people, it showed up as 6 to 8. Other people, it showed up as 7 to 9. And is there some settings there that set the time zone or something that we need to do?
Yes, I'm glad you asked about that. I was going to go over that actually. So what we have, it's blocked right here, but up here in this upper right-hand corner, we have My Account. If you click on that, you go to Account Settings, and then you'll see Time Zone here. So I think the time zone does default to EST. So if you need to change that, if you're in Chicago, you can change it here. And hopefully that takes care of the issue that your team is having with the different time zones. Another thing I'd like to point out while we're here is the email and notifications. If you're getting a lot of emails from Podio and you're not interested in getting a lot of emails from Podio, you can also change your settings here so you don't get as many email notifications. So hopefully that can help with your team's time issues.
Thanks.
Does anyone have any questions about anything else that I just went over? Okay, so I'm going to go over 2 other quick things. So the first one is the calendar. And again, it's important that your time settings are correct, or else these might show up differently as well. My calendar looks crazy right now. Yours will not look like this, but again, it's because I have everyone's workspaces on my calendar because I'm a part of all of these workspaces. But this is just a good way to see, when your team meetings are, what tasks you have coming up. those will all show up on your calendar here. And there are different settings that you can put on your calendar. And the other thing I wanted to point out was the chat function. So here you can chat with teammates. You can also do a video call with 2 other teammates, I believe. Podio is not the best software if you wanted to do probably a whole team meeting over video. But if you needed to chat with someone real quick or shoot them a message, this is a great way to do that. So that is a very general overview of everything and what most people use Podio for. So if anyone has any questions right now, I'd be happy to answer them. I'm also available by email or phone if you have any team-specific questions.